I don't think it's like a charity thing. Like, oh, we have to have a women's meet because we
But
need more opportunities for women.
that's what the
I think they're
movement is
saying we
about.
have a lot of women stars. Let's showcase the world how great track and field is by showing our women.
Dog, if you want to showcase the women stars, you don't have to separate them from the men. They're already doing their thing.
We talking sprint culture, we talking track and field. When the gunshot lick it, give a man the chills. We talking speed demons like Usain. The red track where a legend really makes their name. The US and Jamaica, they run the sprinting game. There's nothing like the Olympics for your claim to fame. When you break the world record, you show you ain't the same. From the men to the women, times are insane. Yeah, we talking sprint culture. We talking sprint culture. We talking sprint culture. We talking sprint culture.
Everybody complains that they're not included. So then instead of doing something for a small section and trying to build off of that, we do nothing. It's either all, like, take all of us or nobody.
Okay.
We just stay where we're at.
That's what I'm saying.
There's no progress.
I'm very pro different meets for different disciplines. There should be an all throws meet. There should be an all sprints meet. There should be an all jumps meet. All that stuff I'm for.
Okay.
Okay. It's not on brand to separate the men and the women in track and field. That's not on brand. That doesn't help at all. The only reason I would say it should be individual as far as disciplines is because you can actually focus on the characters of the disciplines. You can actually focus on discipline and learn about it. I think it's difficult to learn about track and field when there's so many things going on at the same time. If you separate them, you can allow it to kind of breathe. Like I can understand what the pole vault is. I can understand some of the characters in the shot put. I can understand who some of these sprinters are and some of the stories and the culture of each different thing. Cool. There's a purpose to it and it's on brand. Okay. As far as separating the men and the women, that's not on
Why not
brand at all.
Why? Because every other sport does that. There's a WNBA and an NBA. There's women's hockey and men's hockey.
Okay, but that's on brand for them. It's not on brand for track and field.
For us? Why couldn't it be?
Okay, so let me ask you this. Are you saying that we should separate the men and the women in track and field?
No.
Okay.
No. So I'm just saying, like, we haven't done it, but why is that a bad thing? The NCAA's is one of the best productions for track and field that we have. Would you agree with that?
They have it over the same weekend.
They have men on one day and women on the next.
They have it over the same weekend. So at Athlos, when are the men competing?
But I'm saying, in order to get there,
when are the men competing there?
They're not.
When are they competing?
They're not.
Okay, so it's not the same thing.
It is, though.
They're not separating.
It could be. We got to start somewhere, bro.
Aaron.
Just like you said, you'd want to all throwers meet, all jumpers meet, all
on brand.
You got to start somewhere. You got to start with all sprinters meet, and then you say, okay, that works. Let's get an opportunity for the throwers now.
No, this isn't the same thing, Aaron.
Why not?
You know it's not the same thing. Let me ask you a question. You just said that Gabby could possibly be the face of the sport,
no,
right?
That's not what I said. I said she has a case because people are trying to push her. I'm not talking about me.
Fine. If she has a case for being the face of the sport, is she not capable of being the face of a league where investors are coming in for the entire sport? Why does the woman have to do only women's only stuff? Why is she only capable of being the face of only the women's side and promoting a women's event?
Because this goes back to what I was saying before. The women's movement is really important right now in society. Bro, these are behind the door conversations. I'm not saying this is what I agree with. I'm just saying this is how business works. When people want to get behind an idea, you got to push them on what like society's doing and why it's going to work. They might say like, okay, track and field as a whole hasn't been very popular, but what if we pitch it as just a women's thing and we just focus on the women's movement? That's probably what they did behind closed doors, and that's why it got greenlit.
No, I know it got greenlit because it's going with a movement.
Exactly. Do you care how you get the money as long as you get the money?
Can you? I do care. I do care, actually.
In business. As long as it's legal and ethical.
In anything. I don't want to be a whore to money. In anything.
Okay.
Just because there's money involved doesn't mean you got to do it.
I'm not saying you got to do it, but I'm saying if you're going to do it anyways.
For me personally, and anything that has any respect for itself, money is not going to dictate whether or not they do shit. You do it because it's supposed to be done.
So if they're saying like, okay, Gabby, we're going to get behind your idea to have a new league, but you got to take out all the guys. She's supposed to be like, no, I'm not going to do it unless everybody can come. I don't want only women.
Look, do what you want to do for the money, okay? Fine. All I'm saying is it's not on brand and it's not track and field. So cool. Okay. Do what what you want. But if the same situation was presented to the men, it would never happen, dog.
Because
it would never.
that's not the
If it
movement.
was the movement.
30 years
And
ago, let's
Aaron,
say in the
let
90s.
me say again before you make that point.
Okay.
Let me say again, the movement is not for the promotion of women's sports. It's for equality in sports on both the men's and the women's side. And track and field already has that. So there's no way track and field should be used in order to promote this, aside from just showing a sport that has equality already. You don't break up the equality in order to make equality better in other sports or whatever the fuck they're trying. What the fuck?
They're trying
What
to
does that
ride
even
the
mean?
wave. They're trying to ride the wave.
Okay, riding the wave, that shit just shows it's indicative of a weak sport.
Okay, but
And I don't think track and field is weak.
you keep saying it's not on brand for track and field.
Right?
How much is the brand of track and field worth?
The
Why are we
brand?
sticking? Yeah, why are we sticking to the brand of track and field when the brand has been worth a lot?
No, it's not the brand of track and field. It's how it's presented.
Exactly. That's what we're talking about.
But it's not the product. The product is strong.
But
What
the
you're saying
is
change.
not strong.
No, Aaron,
right?
you're talking about changing the product. The product is men and women. That's the product. There's no arguing that. That's the product. Now,
The product, no. The product is track and field. The fastest people running in the world. And
men and women.
Okay.
Yes, people. The fastest.
Okay, yes.
The fastest, the best the athletes in the world.
Does having an only women's meet change the product?
Yes.
It's still the best women in the world. It's still track. It's still the fastest. You're just changing the way it's presented, which what you just said was the problem with track and field. The way it's marketed, the way it's presented to the world isn't strong. So this is another way to present it. An all-women's track meet. Something new.
What is a yin without a yang?
What?
What's a yin without a yang? You know what a yin yang is?
Yeah, balance.
Okay, so what's a yin without a yang?
Okay, but we're acting like we're eliminating guys
It's a yin.
entirely. It's just one track meet, bro. It's just one track meet.
All right. One track meet.
Yeah.
But it's a yin. It's not what it was.
So you really think one track meet is going to throw off the whole balance?
Let me see.
Men are just going to be like, oh, we're
see,
shit out of luck. We don't get anything now because they have one track meet for women.
See you have a packet of Kool-Aid with no water. Just eat it.
What are you talking
about? Kool-Aid. Eat the Kool-Aid by itself. I'm going to see you do it. Are you going to enjoy it?
I don't like Kool-Aid anyway.
Is it Kool-Aid? What kind of food do you like? Do you just like hamburger buns? Do you just enjoy hamburger buns by themselves?
Actually, I eat just the patty.
You just eat the patty.
Yeah.
Well, that's obviously.
I'm not eating bread.
That's obviously very weird. What you're saying is, let's have just a hamburger patty meat. And to me, that's weird. It's not on brand. The burger is what it is, dog. Everybody knows the burger is what it is. But someone wants to come in and be like, well, there's a movement for just the burgers.
Okay,
right
so you're
now.
acting like
let me finish. Let me finish. There's a movement for just the burgers now, so we're just going to do this for this one situation because other restaurants. Let me finish.
No,
other restaurants.
I'm about to shit all over your own analogy.
Let me finish first. Other restaurants are only having this. They're having a deficiency as far as the burgers and the quality that they have with the buns. So we are just going to push the burgers. Without the buns, in order for these other restaurants to have better lives. So we're just going to have a shitty restaurant for a little while.
This is what they do. They say, hey, in today's society, we have a lot of people who don't eat meat. We have a lot of vegans. So we're going to start making impossible burgers. Those aren't the same things as burgers. We're going to have a lot of people that aren't eating bread. They're gluten-free. So we're going to have people who just eat breadless burgers, which is the ones with the salad. The lettuce wraps. So what you're saying is what's reflective of what I'm saying.
So I'll revisit. Are you saying?
Bro?
So let's revisit. We're going to break up a sport with perfect balance, right? To only have women's only track. Is that what you think should happen? And
they're going to present track and field in another way
Aaron,
that is adaptable to what people want to see in society. They're riding the wave of what people want to see.
Okay. So what you're saying is, people only want to see only men competing, and they only want to see only women competing in track and field. That's what's holding it back.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying variety is not a bad thing. Let's say they have this all women's meet and it's trash. Nobody wants to see it. Okay, at least you tried it. At least you can check that off the box.
Oh, and then they can just wander back into the track and field world and jump back with the men?
Yes, try something else.
Let's say it blows up.
If it blows up, then you do more. Double down on something good. Right.
So let the women go do their thing. Let me ask you a question. If a $1 billion investor put a plan behind what's going on the men's side, what do you think would happen?
That doesn't apply
No,
because that's not the movement.
you had a bunch of hypotheticals for me, Aaron. So it would be very respectful for you to respond to my hypothetical. Okay, if $1 billion investor came in and threw some money in how they're presenting the men's side of track and field by itself, would it flourish? Were you getting ready to say no?
Yes, it would.
Okay, period. That's what I'm saying.
It would flourish, but it would be met with a lot of people who are mad about it. Pushing, like when you have the majority being pushed, like that's not how our society works.
What do you mean?
You can only champion the minority.
The men aren't the majority in track and field.
But they are in the world.
But we're not talking about the world. We're talking about a perfectly balanced
all
sport.
about the world.
The one thing that track and field is doing well, we have to break that up in order to fulfill some movement. Really?
Okay.
That's what we're doing?
What appeals to the common man? Would you rather see
competition, entertainment, humor, things that are visually impressive, athletic feats?
Okay, let me ask this.
Things that they've never seen before.
What goes
stories.
viral?
I'm not even done. Stories.
Okay, it was rhetorical, sir. You weren't supposed to go off.
You gave me a pause. Like you wanted a response, dog. Was it for dramatic effect?
For dramatic flair, yeah. Of course.
Right. Go ahead.
What goes crazy on social media, like TikTok and Instagram? What kind of content? Like, what's the easiest way to go viral?
Like some sexual shit.
Okay.
So this is what's happening?
That's the way to get it done.
So this is what's happening.
Controversy, people talking shit, sexualizing. Are those things that you want the sport to be? No. But does it work? Yes.
Are you saying that you can't fully sexualize the women in track and field if the men are there as well? You have to separate them. You have to separate them in order for the women to be fully sexualized. And is this the angle? Is this the angle that we're going with this?
No. It's not.
Is that the plan? Because I didn't read that in the articles.
This is not my plan for track and field. This is not what I want.
Is that what's behind the plan, in your opinion? Sexualization of women. Is that what the plan seems to be?
No,
I don't think so either. I don't think so either. So as far as that's concerned, I don't think that applies to this. This is going towards some sort of it's moving towards more of a feminist movement.
People ride what's popular, what's easy. When you're investing your money, you want guaranteed returns. So if they're seeing that, hey, other sports are popping off with the women's movement, okay? They're going to ride the wave in track and field. They want easy money.
Women's sports is suffering. So why are we gearing
towards... How is it suffering? It's more popular than it's ever been.
That's why there's a movement.
What? It's more popular than it's ever been. What are you talking about?
The movement, but the balance is, there's still issues with the balance. That's why there's so much of a movement, dog. They're trying to push and promote so that it gets bigger. They want the balance. If there was balance across the board, there would be no women's movement in sports. The movement is to get the balance. That's the only reason the movement's happening. It's to get the balance.
But when you have the movement, there's been movement. So there's more balance than there was before. Yes or no?
Of course.
I've tuned into way more WNBA stuff this year than I ever have in my entire life. I never thought for a second about what happens in the WNBA.
Why really?
Because I see it more. It's being pushed more.
Why is it pushed more?
Because it's more popular.
It's being pushed more because of Caitlin Clark, dog.
Okay.
Everybody knows that. It has nothing to do with the movement.
That's not only the reason.
It's the major reason, because I think it's obvious that a white person in a black sport draws a lot of eyes.
Fair enough.
So we wouldn't be having all this happening right now, where the WNBA would be getting so much pub. And a lot of people don't like to hear it. It doesn't mean the product is any worse, but the reality is it's getting a lot more eyes because of that. Yeah. It's not because of the movement, dog.
Yeah.
The movements are going on for years, decades, because in general, the WNBA would always have the goal to be at the same level as the NBA. That would be the goal in any sport.
Okay.
I want the event to do well because there's women in track and field and I want to see them flourish. What I'm saying is...
What are we talking about? We're on the same page.
No, what I'm saying is it doesn't help the sport.
You just said you wanted to do well because it can help the women in track and field. And my whole point is that even though it's not helping the men, it's going to help somebody in track and field, which helps the overall sport.
Dog, it's going to help the women because an investor with a lot of money is putting money into it, which in general would help.
That's
okay, but that would help.
You're making my point now.
No, I'm not, because that would help the men too.
But I just want anything to happen. If a man has money and he says, I'm not going to help those guys, but I'll help the women in track and field, at least they're helping somebody in track and field.
No, I disagree.
At
I
least,
disagree.
why?
I disagree. I disagree
Why?
because look, you're
Dog.
married. You're married.
Yes,
Say you're
yes,
saying your
yes.
wife is struggling, dog. Someone comes across your wife, you know what I'm saying? Hey, I could break you out for a little something. Your husband, on the other hand, you know, so he got to figure his shit
Yeah,
out.
I'm looking at it from a different perspective. You're looking at it just as man versus woman. I'm looking at it, okay, what if it was the same scenario, but an investor came in and was like, I only want to help the sprinters.
Mhm.
As us as sprinters, are we supposed to be like, nah, bro, you got to help the whole sport? Or are we
No,
going to be like, all right, we got to
no,
start somewhere. Let's do
no,
an all sprinter meet. And
no.
then maybe down the line, another investor will want to do something else. Once they see that this is a
I believe,
success, we got to start somewhere, bro.
I believe that would make more sense because the sprints are the biggest draw. So if that was to happen, it would make sense. This
Okay.
doesn't make sense because the men aren't holding holding back the sport.
All right, well, let me ask you this. Who's the biggest athlete in the sport?
The biggest athlete in the sport right now with the most popularity is Noah. And the 100 has always been the hottest event. The men's 100 has always been the hottest event. And the men's 100 would never leave track behind. They would never. The women are not out showing the men in that type of way where it's like, well, you know what, we might as well invest in the women because the men are the ones holding it back. It doesn't even make sense. Do you think that if an investor saw the value in track and field, right? Mm-hmm. And they're trying to promote equality in sports, the women's movement, because the women's movement is not just about promoting women's sports. It's about equality in sports. Mm-hmm. Okay. Personally, if I was an investor and that's what I'm trying to promote, I would push and promote a sport that has the perfect balance because that's what we're pushing towards. I wouldn't push one side and leave the other one behind. That's very odd to me. It doesn't help the sport, but it might help whatever he has going on personally. I don't know. But in general, if I was a person that was pushing equality in sport, I'm going to push a sport that has equality. That makes sense. This doesn't make sense. It's off brand. That's all I'm saying. Cool. Y'all go do your thing. Make y'all money. I hope it does whatever happens. But to me, it doesn't feel right,
You said you hope it does successful. Why?
I wouldn't want to see the women fail.
But
I don't want that.
But they're leaving the men behind. You don't like that. You want equality. You want both of them at the same time.
Yeah, but
So
that doesn't mean I have to be malicious.
Well?
Doesn't mean I have to be malicious.
It does though, because if this pops off, then what you're going to see, you're going to see it double down, and more of these things are going to happen.
All I'm saying is, it makes it a very clear opening for the men to go and do their own thing in some other if it's presented that way.
The movement's not with the men.
No, it doesn't work like that, Aaron. If they're going to go and do their thing, the men are just going to sit around and just do the dual thing. Yeah, y'all do y'all thing, but when, you know what I'm saying, we'll still do the thing together. We're stuck in the together thing. Y'all do y'all thing, cool. We'll do our thing when we get the opportunity to.
Do you actually think that's going to happen?
I think a very smart investor, if they really wanted to make the most out of the sport, say we wanted to be jerks, right? And just harp on what the biggest thing in the sport is, okay? It would only be the men's 100.
Think that's gonna happen?
It would only be about the fastest man in the world. The smartest that would never fail. The most foolproof would be to invest in the men's 100 meters, the fastest man in the world. But that would be it. Look, do y'all thing. But if an opportunity comes up for the men, they need to jump on it. Period.
We talking sprint culture. We talking sprint culture.
It's a strategy. Do I agree with it? No, I never said that.
Does it make sense?
And you got to try something.
You got to try different things, but sometimes you can't just try anything.
So why can't we just...